Sorry, y'all, the video cut because I'm running out of space and I'm uploading while I'm recording. So be patient with your sis, okay? So, what I was talking about was dreams. So, if you're dreaming something dark, God can use something you looked at or something from your past to create a level of urgency in your spirit because he wants you to pay attention to the fact that this is an attack type that the enemy is using against you. Be aware, okay? But if the enemy, now this is something that I've seen ministers sit up there and say, oh, the enemy doesn't have access to your mind, and he has no access to your thoughts. He can only access what you speak, and what you speak becomes reality. But I told you earlier in a video that I had somebody that was attached to me that was monitoring me. And I'm going to insert this right here. Remember what I was just talking about in relation to eating food. If you eat off of a person that is operating in a spirit of monitoring you, they're going to use the fact that they had access by whatever it was that they put on that food, witchcraft wise, to monitor what you're doing. So that's how I believe in some ways that woman had access to knowing what I was thinking when I never said it, because we'd eaten together. And matter of factually, the Lord showed me in a dream that we ate from one another. And that was why I believe she had the ability to access my thoughts. Okay? Now, with that being said, the Lord can use scary things he wants your attention. He's trying to use that to say, this is what's going on in the spirit. This is a spiritual attack. This is what I'm seeing that is trying to prepare to come up against you. He's using it as a warning to you. Heed the warning and pray against it. A lot of us have the tendency, God will give you an urgent warning. You won't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and pray for an hour or two in order to block that warning. You'll go back to sleep and then wonder why your day is going straight to hell. Because God woke you up at 2 o'clock in the morning and told you in that dream to tell you, hey, I need you to pray about this. Then there are some dreams that the Lord has given me where I went into heavy warfare prior to the dream. And by me going into heavy warfare, I literally saw the Lord either use me or create a scenario where he showed me a violent attack of the defeat of a person in the dream. And it was vicious. It was bloody. It was sometimes strategic, especially if the Lord is sending in specific type of angels. For instance, Angel Azael is an angel that is a destroying angel. He destroys. He's going to come in and he's going to cut down. You have never seen a bloodthirsty angel. These are extremely tall angels that are coated in blood. Thank you, Apostle Youngblood, for telling me that. And I've even, my coach said years ago she was doing something and she completed her task and she saw one of these angels covered in blood. Came to warn her. Now, naturally, you would be freaked out. The apostle, when he first started to see angels and the Lord started showing him the angels, stop thinking these angels are these cute looking extremely handsome dudes that have perfectly coiffed hair and fine, and they just walk around here in white robes. That is the biggest lie that society has ever told you. Okay? These angels look like humongous, monstrous beings that are sometimes coated in blood, armor, so on and so forth. They will scare the bejesus out you if you saw them. Because he said when he first saw it, he's a minister, knowing, scared him. Why I say that? Because I need you to know that even in your dreams, if you see certain things, sometimes it is of God. Yes, that was God that did that. That was God that was trying to show you that. Yep. Mm-hmm. It was the big G upstairs. How do you know now when it isn't God? One, like I told you in the previous dream, you're going to see masquerading people. Why am I telling you? Because we talking about inception. This is how you can see how things are trying to incept or interfere with your dreams. Something going to feel off. It's either going to look off. I was talking about this in a previous part. It's going to look off. You're going to feel like you're in an environment that doesn't quite feel right. Remember how in the previous video we were talking and I was telling you that when Cobb was having the dream and Anastasia was altering it, the projections that Cobb created for the environment started to look at and or attack Anastasia. Yes? Well, when it comes down to your dreams, if the enemy is creating something that don't fit, your spirit starts to recognize, wait a minute, this environment looks altered in a wrong way. Some of these people and witches that are using these masquerading, witchcraft and what have you, they don't know what they're doing, and or we as children of God are just spiritually discerning enough that we can see right through it. And literally, they'll put something over top of something and you'll be like, I can see right. Dude, the environment I can see right through. The wallpaper you've placed in this, I'm looking right through it. The table is it's flickering in and out. The what you call it? The walls, the paint looks like you took 2 minutes to put it together. The environment looks tacky. It's like, dude, this don't even look like it's part of, because my dreams, the environment gonna look right. When you start seeing stuff like that, you know that on itself should immediately let you know, hey, this ain't right. The people, they will look like, wait, that's somebody's face tried to be put on top of somebody. You ever look at a Reface app? And in Reface, you have the ability to put your face on top of somebody else's face. Okay? Now, 95% of the time that it works. But on the times when the image or video footage is slightly angular, slightly turned, where the face is not directly facing you, it distorts the image. Meaning the face won't look right. Your face won't look right on their face. So on and so forth. Okay? I did it one time with my dad. it looked real bad. His face didn't work on the other person's face. I'm like, oh, this just, no. We trying it. It's not working. That's what will happen. The people will look off. The environment will look off. Or there's another dream I had one time where it was almost like I felt like I was hallucinating in a drugged state. And everything about it and the environment looked like it was like from The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm like, what the heck is this? What is this foolishness? Everything had turned this sickly green and all this kind of foolishness, and it didn't feel right, and I didn't feel right in the environment and all that kind of stuff. But you understand what I'm saying? God will warn you. He may use something that you know previously to give you the same jump scare, the same urgency, the same that you had. I remember years ago when God was trying to show me, what was it? He was trying to show me end time stuff. And at the time, I used to always watch, what was it? The Walking Dead. This was a couple years before I walked into my Christianity, like couple years, like. And when I did, he would sometimes use The Walking Dead in my dreams to show people that were spiritually dead, and to also show that we were in the end times and there were going to be a clearing out of people and so on and so forth. There was going to be hazardous conditions and things that were going to make people freak out. Lo and behold, did I not know that the dreams I was having about being in hospitals and all that kind of stuff was only talking to what we saw what happened with CVD-19. So, yes. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get cut off, but that's what I wanted to express, to give you a differentiation, because I kind of left you off there. Now, I don't even know whether I want to go into too much of the actual movie at this point, but I will say this. They were trying to complete the loop, okay? So Arthur was showing her how to walk up a staircase. A staircase is something that can be a continual loop, but you can break it because you've got spiral staircases, but he was using a square staircase. And it looked like they were continually going up the case until they came back to a point where they were back in the same place. And she was like, wait, we just passed that person. Yeah, because they went through a loop where it was exact same location. And then you saw her ask Arthur. She started inquiring about Cobb and what was going on and why he did not want to do the architecture himself. And he kind of didn't really want to talk too much. She questioned why he doesn't do it anymore and Arthur kind of looked away from her and said, he can't. And she looked at him at the way that he kind of looked away and was kind of like, is it that he can't or that he won't? And she starts to say, is it because of the fact that he's lost a level of control within the dream? And they're talking about it, and she says, so what about his wife? What is that? And he says, we don't really talk about Maul. She's like, well, that's his wife. So what happened to her? What was her involvement in this? He said, we don't talk about his wife because she's dead. And she's coming to the realization, oh, she didn't know at this point that Maul was dead. So she's like, whoa. So I'm going to, I guess I can keep going. We'll see until this phone decides that it wants to cut off from the last video. But so I'm not going to go over what I already went for about the forger. We already talked about that. So Anastasia is trying to complete her weight. Now, Cobb warned them that each of them had a weight. He always carries Maul's weight, which that in itself tells you something, because he doesn't even have his own weight. He uses hers as a counterbalance. Her weight is a weighted, it's not a spinner, it's a weighted, I cannot think of the name of it. Like you see a spinning top, it spins, and the centrifugal force causes it to tip. You see them sometimes in Asia, you see them sometimes, depending on how they're shaped. And it spins on its own axis, and then it'll tip over. That's what his is, but it's a piece of metal. It's metal. It has to be metal because you can feel the weight in reality. In dream realm, you don't feel weight of objects unless it's something specific and in that moment, you are meant to feel weight. So it's not so much even feeling the weight. He uses that because in the dream realm, if he was still in a dream, it keeps spinning. It never stops spinning in the dream. But if he's in reality, it will stop spinning. Okay? Which is a key. Arthur showed Anastasia his totem, which was a loaded die. And as we know, loaded dies are dies that have something in them that one weights them and two causes them to turn and do what have you because of the weight inside of it. Okay? And he weighted his so that he can feel it. And Arthur told her, don't nobody touch this. You need to know the weight of your own totem. It's that thing that keeps you centered when you're in the dream realm. So she was completing hers. Hers, in fact, is a chess piece. And it's the queen. It's a gold queen chess piece. So I'm assuming each piece has a meaning to each character in a specific way. I never really figured out why they chose the pieces that they chose or why they chose them. But she completed her piece. And she's determined after they talk what ends up happening is he's sitting in his office area. He's got the team back together, everybody's cool, but he's sitting in the office trying to determine the actual plan for what they're going to do next. And she was like, oh yeah, I want to talk to you. I came up with this. He said, don't Show me what you came up with. And she's like, why would I not show you what I came up with? He said, you cannot show it to me. And she says, it's because of Maul, isn't it? Do they know that you don't have that much control over her? He said, no. He said, I got it under control. And she's like, are you sure? And he has to admit to her that he has it under control, but he desires to get home to his kids. She says, why can he not go home to his kids? He admits to her, they think I killed her. And she's shocked by this. She doesn't say anything. And he said, thank you. And she said, for what? For not asking if I did. So they are going over the last minutes of the plan. How they are going to go through the business theory as to the levels of the dream and how the triggers are supposed to work for each level of the dream. Pause. The dreams have to have levels. Let's do a lesson in levels, shall we? Have you ever gone into a dream and you started in a place? Then you went from the place that you were in to another place.